I'd like to call to order the April meeting of the Frankfurt Plant Board. It's Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 at 5 o'clock in the community room at the FPB Administration Building. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Member DeLong?
Jason's still dealing with some flood related, so he's not going to be able to join us tonight.
Okay. Mr. Keban?
Here?
Mr. Mason?
Here.
Mr. Snyder?
Here.
And Ms. Dunn Mitchell?
Here.
We have a quorum. First item is consider approval of the minutes for the March 18th, 2025 board meeting. Everybody should have them in front. Does everybody have any changes or corrections? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are adopted. Item 2, financials. Mr. Denton.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Cubine, board members. The financials we have before you tonight are through the first 9 months of this fiscal year, ending in March of 2025. We've seen the same trends in revenue and expenses as we've talked about the last several months, so not a whole lot new to report. The main thing I was wanting to talk to you all about tonight is the focus shifting towards next fiscal year's budget, 25-26 budget. We are working on that right now. As we usually do, we plan to bring the first draft to you at the regular May board meeting, just handing it out for you to have for a couple of weeks. And would like to talk about setting, or be thinking about dates you all would like to have to set public budget meetings. Usually it's
Right.
that first week of June. And also, we would love to have any input, any board member would like to be a part of any specific section,
Right.
or any individual initiative or budget item you'd like to add, let us know while we're
Right.
putting that together, or we can put that in any time. But pretty much, things are moving forward well with the budget, but we're working towards the first draft here soon, and we'll keep moving forward to produce that draft.
Let me look here. I have one of Ms. Poe's handy calendar. The first week in June it's a full week. It's June 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So maybe, Kathy, if you would, in the next a week or so, just kind of poll everybody and see what your schedules look like during that, and see if we want to reserve 2 days with hopefully we only need one.
Yes, last year we were able to get it done in one, which works great for everyone.
That's a public meeting or just meeting with us?
Just our internal, our work session.
I can do that.
Is that week out for you?
I'm on Thursday and Friday that week.
Okay. The board meeting will be on the 17th.
On behalf.
And that next week would be fine as well. We usually don't have a whole lot of changes that come
Right.
out of that meeting, but we can always make them, a week turnaround wouldn't be a problem.
So why don't, Kathy, you check everybody for the week of June 9th
Okay.
and see what if we can get 2 days held. Maybe most of one day and the second half day or whatever. And then, as David said, if there's particular initiatives, things you're interested in, let David know so he can price them out and so forth. And then if you want to work on any particular areas of the budget, spend some more time, either now or after we see the first draft, whatever you want to do. Just, let Gary know, because if you're going to be meeting with staff, we got to be careful on the quorum issue, but just, whatever you want to delve into more, just go for it.
Other than that,
And
like
I
said,
guess in May, we'll probably take a look at what May inflation, or what the inflation's published in, I think the state is 3% this year on salaries. And then we ought to be able, what about the 10th Bureau of Labor Statistics?
yes, sir.
Post the,
10th,
Yeah.
around 10th, 11th, 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we'll have that.
So we can talk about that as well.
Okay. On the financial statements, what are you looking at? I mean, I know lots happened in April, but in terms of up through March, were we trending about to where we looked, about to where we budgeted?
We are. We've had year over year, we are outpacing in revenue growth, and we are also a little bit above expenses as well, but our revenue growth is outpacing expenses. As far as budget goes, we are right in line with total revenue numbers, and actually a little bit below on budgeted figures. So
Okay.
we're outperforming what we thought we would be, which is always good. We had $29 million in capital
Right.
improvements this year. We've invested $13 million through the first 9 months.
Okay.
There are several large projects that are just, haven't moved as fast as you would think on
Right.
paper, but it's to be expected. So the story again for 2026 will be continued large amount of capital investment. You'll notice whenever we provide it to you, when you look out 5 years, that investment does start to dwindle back to historic numbers, which does help us on cash flow and will take pressure off future rate changes because we're getting back to a more historic investment level. But you know, I hope this next budget year that we can maintain rates comparable to where they are today and get all of our things that we need to get done. So,
Are any of the expenses that we incurred in April with the flooding and that, are any of them going to be FEMA eligible?
I believe we are, and I know we might be piggybacking on the city some.
Right.
I'm not in the details just yet on that, but I know we're going to have some of those,
Okay.
yes. So, you know, you sit in this chair, you could always be better, but I would take where we are through the first 9 months
Yeah.
of this year.
Yeah. Any questions of David? So May's going to be a lot of fun. Love a good budget meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the financial statements that are in front of us? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to accept the financials?
So,
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Financials are accepted. We're gonna change it around a little bit, because obviously a lot went on the last couple of weeks. So we moved, Gary's comments to kind of talk about what all's happened in the agency and what all staff accomplished, because I think, you know, if you look at the social media, the Facebook, whatever you wanna look at, I mean, I think this community really appreciated the efforts that electric and water and telecom that everybody did. I mean, it was an incredible job. So Gary, you want to take it?
Sure, I really appreciate the opportunity to explain to the board and also our customer. This is a kind of historical event where flood level end up actually streamline our business all impact greatly. And I do want you to know our staff stand up that did an excellent job in my view. And no matter is doing some fixed water line under the bridge, can be very dangerous. And cross river, pull the fiber through it. All the water business under extremely condition keep the water service in that circumstance. So I do want you to know there are a lot of people put a lot of extra effort. As I know personally, you know, on Saturday evening, close 11, we still have many management in the water plant try to figure out what do we do tomorrow to organize, to figure out everything to make sure we can keep the service on. I do have Cassie can help me. She got a lot of picture or video or anything else. And
Yeah.
she can show that.
So just real quick, kind of reiterating what Gary was saying, is that it's been an eventful week that impacted all our lines of business and departments here at the Frankfurt Plant Board. It was all hands on deck as far as efforts go. Everybody was affected. Again, talking about the water treatment plant, you know, having to pull the control cabinets from those intake pumps, and they got them back quickly. I mean, we put the alert out on Sunday to start conserving water, and I think we were up and running again on Monday evening. So again, we want to thank all of the efforts of our employees at the water treatment plant, and I think Brandon wanted me to give a shout out also to AE Solutions for helping get all of that process done. So they did awesome work. Again, like Gary mentioned, our water department had a lot going on. We had something hit the concrete bridge, and it didn't damage one of our lines. It just shifted it to then where we had water going out, and that was at the time where we knew we were going to have limited drinking water. So it was very important that they get that fixed immediately. And sure enough, just a couple hours later, our guys were in life jackets and hanging over the side of the bridge and got that fixed. And it made for amazing pictures and video. So we appreciate that. Again, with telecom, they had 3 major events. We had the fiber line at the Singing Bridge. We do have video of it. It was getting knocked around by the rising water and by anything that was coming through there. I mean, and you should have seen the things that were coming down the river. I saw like a full like wagon, like a farm wagon, and sheds, boat docks, all you can imagine. And then they were all hitting that fiber line. So so the telecom crew decided to go ahead and run a temporary line over the bridge so that we would be ready if anything happened to that line. And they decided that as the water was rising, they better go ahead and do the cutover to the new line. And so that caused some folks to be out on Sunday night for a bit. We had someone splicing fiber all night that night to get those customers back on. And I think service was restored to approximately 4,500 customers within that evening, that through that night. We also had an event in Bell Point where we lost service to all customers in that Node 18 area. And as it turns out, I believe the equipment was underwater. The node and power supply were both completely submerged, and they couldn't be accessed until the floodwaters receded. So on Wednesday, crews were able to begin the repairs, and they got electrical service, power supply, and the node were rebuilt, restoring service to approximately 95 customers on Wednesday. And then, of course, as everybody knows, we had that fiber damage at the river crossing there at Glens Creek and Old Lawrenceburg Road down by the Capitol Garage. And that was a major event. And we had help from Frankfort Fire and EMS, the North Carolina Search and Rescue Task Force. And they were there, and they were great. They provided the boats, and they were like, we love doing this stuff. You know? So we appreciated their assistance in getting that fiber across. And again, that night we had, on each side of the river, we had crew traying and splicing fiber all through the night for 12 hours that night. And then we were able, that by the Thursday morning service, was fully restored to 1,500, to those 1,500 customers who had been without. And then electric had just been busy all along and quietly doing their job. But they have some great photos. They were, expecting, they'd seen what the predicted crest had been, so they knew that they should be expecting to pull some meters. And then that prediction just kept getting higher and higher. They worked with Buffalo Trace and expecting waters to come in. They were concerned about their equipment and our equipment. So they ended up having to cut the power there. And I'm sure these guys, when they come for their department reports, can fill in any questions you might have. They cut the power to Buffalo Trace for safety reasons, and they were evacuating their area. Monday, disconnects ended up having to be done by boat because the waters were so high. The Benson Valley line opened, creating an outage there. So, and it was impassable due to flooding, so they had to follow the railroad tracks from Devil's Hollow to the backside of Benson Valley. And they did that, and they took men and equipment in on gators to find and isolate and fix and get energy back on that side. So that was another good exercise in restoring power. On April 9th, they requested, had a request for pulls picked back up. Requests for meter pools picked back up because the water had started to recede and people wanted to, get back in. And then we were directed by Kentucky Emergency Management that all those areas had to have their power turned off due to their employees making sweeps of these flooded areas with boats. So then we had met with EOC. I think Scott went down and met with EOC and city leadership to figure out a game plan for how that was going to work. They set up an electric hotline where people had to schedule electric inspections first, and then contact us so that we could get those meters back going and get power restored. So I think they're still in that process, and that's what they're doing. Also, I don't know if you've heard, if you're on social media, you've probably seen pictures of the landslide at Big Eddy. And that resulted in one pole of ours going into the river and breaking 3 other poles. So that's something that needs to be addressed. We had a crew that went back where the slide was and worked on trying to harden the temporary work, since we have AT&T and FPB are still pulling on those poles. So they're continuing to work on reconnects, and they're again working with the EOC to make sure that people get electricians to make their repairs, get their inspections, and then let us get those reconnections made. Besides our three main lines of business, I know support services was busy. They were keeping everybody stocked up in what they needed. They also provided meals to our crews who were working nonstop around the clock. The NOC and customer service. I know NOC, we had a liaison to the EOC, and they did some drone work for us. And all of our customer service, they're taking calls from customers who have concerns about what's going on. It's been busy, and we appreciate that. And then, of course, our communications team has been really busy. We covered all the crews and their progress. We kept customers up to date on social media about what was going on and on our website. We answered questions on social media and reached out to those who made appreciative comments. We sent them a link so they could give us a good Google review. And they were happy to do so, I'd like to say. And we got lots of documentation, pictures, and footage of the flood and the work of the FPB crews, which we're going to see in just a minute. I did want to give you an idea of the response we've had on Facebook, at least. During this time, we've had more than 2 million views on our Facebook page. Our reach has been 288,558. Content interactions was 39,269, and we had more than 1,700 new follows this week. So just in the post that we did about flood coverage, we had 13,115 likes on our posts, and we had more than 1,600 comments, all of which, except maybe about 5 were positive, like extremely positive. And I did pick out a couple that I just thought you all might want to hear. I know that sometimes it makes people uncomfortable when we talk about ourselves and the good work that we do, but it is literally part of my job. So I'd just like to share a few things because people were just so appreciative. And I don't know if you all have been out in the community, if they know you're involved with FPB. They have been so kind and thankful for the work that our crews have done. So with that, I just want to read a couple. Anybody who has done emergency deployment, storm response, or disaster recovery knows working through the night, wading a river in rain and wind and sub 50 temperatures is absolutely miserable conditions. These are strong, tough crews. Believe me when I say that after a certain point, the hazard pay still isn't enough to be worth the 12 to 24-hour cycles on this stuff. Thankful for these brave men and women out doing the work. Credit to where it's due. Another one, nobody, emphasis on nobody works harder than the FPB people during this times of emergency. They ignore time clocks to get the job done. Everyone I know that has moved away from Frankfort always makes the comment, I miss FPB. My reply is yes, they're the best. Thank you, FPB employees who have guided us through this disaster and kept the lines of communication open. And then a couple of my favorite. Thank you to every single person at the Frankfort Plant Board for everything you've done for all of us this past week, and always, actually. It's truly impressive and heroic, the work you've done to keep the lights on and our water clean during this disaster. I know you all have to be exhausted and likely dealing with your own flood-related issues at your homes. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Frankfort is so blessed. Coming from big city life, I gotta say FPB stands pound for pound with anybody anywhere in the nation when it comes to crisis utility management. Big respect to you all. Give those crewmen a bonus, a hot meal, and a day off to sleep. And then as much as I fuss about those service charges on every line item on my bill, FPB is the best utility company. Thanks so much for your great service. Our FPB is customer owned, and what you are paying goes in to have good, knowledgeable employees, and you can't put a price on that. FPB is a community jewel. Thanks all. So with that, I'll just give you all a peek at some of the pictures and footage that we got this week. And again, I'm working on putting like a newsletter together that has more.
And you're going to send it to like city commission,
We're
fiscal
gonna
court,
send it to
legislators, everybody.
Send it to all
Good.
of our leadership, and then we'll probably just send it in an email to our customers
Yeah.
as well, just so they know. But Scott Stafford put this together, so here we go. any questions? We'll have, I'm sure, yeah, the folks who are coming up might have something more to say about that. But again, thank you all so much. I'm so proud to work for a company that just does the type of work that we've
Yeah.
done this past week. So,
And I think just what you said, and I know I've had 2 conversations with the mayor, but just all kinds of, like you said, hearing all kinds of comments of just how much people appreciate this company, so.
yeah.
And I just wanted to say, one, it was an honor to kind of have a behind-the-scenes glimpse at this. It was amazing, the proactive and the planning, and it was just amazing. I appreciate the board being kept up to date. And the social media, you know, it's not just to like boost our image, but it was, everyone knew what was going on the
Yeah.
whole time, even
Right.
people out of state, and you know, they're watching it. It's better than anything on Netflix,
Yeah.
but to be able to not sit back and wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Why did this happen? When's it gonna get fixed? Like, you literally could see it,
Yeah.
so appreciate that.
Well, I tell you, I was telling Gary yesterday, when I was out and about, I ran into a reporter from WKYT, and we were talking, and she asked because I was doing some videos with my camera, so she asked where I was from. And I said, well, I work for the Frankfurt Plant Board. She was like, you're the Frankfurt Plant Board lady. She said, everybody in our news crew has been counting on all of the social media posts just to see what's going on there. And they had been using some of the stuff we had posted. They had asked for permission to repost
On the
it.
Sunday, actually, I was in the water treatment plant. We do have employee. The home is completely flooded. He didn't know what happened, but he chose to stay there, work all the way. Then someone else told him, you know, we just pass your house and tell you I'm okay. You know, that's the real things I saw. I mean, the dedication we have our employee put in.
For sure.
John?
Okay.
Kathy, I do want to say one other thing, and I want to follow up on something that Catherine just mentioned. I don't think you can overestimate the importance of what Around 10 has become to this community. It is the local news source for this community
Yes,
now.
sir.
And with the death, and in many ways, of a lot of local news.
True.
I think it's set itself up as to be the go-to place, and the fact that you can get it on Facebook or anything like that, I just think it's a huge public service to the community, and you cannot underestimate how much it means to this community, especially in times like this.
Thank you so much, and that was our hope when we got it started, and you know, it just keeps getting better. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate your all support for that too. Thank you.
Ms. Poe, any public comments?
No, sir.
Okay, anybody signed up to testify or, okay? Gary, you wanna go through the department reports?
That's pretty much it. Thought we had it.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I know that Harvey's got some stuff that we've been working on that you'll hear about later in the agenda. Again, we've been working on flood-related stuff for the past week, in addition to just covering the stuff that our crews have done. We've been on Around 10 and just on Facebook. We've been talking about resources for people. We've been trying to be the source so people know where to go if they need cleaning supplies, food, clothes. So we've gone out to all of these organizations that are doing stuff. We've taken video of these people. We've done interviews. We've put it on social media so that people know where all of these resources are. In addition, we'll be going this Saturday to an Earth Day event at the Orlando Brown House. We'll have a tent set up and talking about all of the things that we do that are renewable energy related. And we'll have information there about our community solar program and just, again, different stuff that we do, our net metering. What is it? Our net metering, just things that we do for our customers who have solar as well. And really, we've got, I think, our Cable 10 crews getting ready to start baseball and softball coverage. So we'll be having Game of the Week coming up again soon. So it's always something, just busy,
Yeah.
and we like it that way. Anything?
All right. right?
Okay.
The next is a NOG, Darren Rambo.
Good evening. The network operations report's on page 89 of your packet, and it looks like for the month of March, we entered 467 trouble calls. The NOC handled 2,280 phone calls, and on the locate side, we did 635 locates. So as summer's, warm weather coming around, I say that we just get a little busier each month, and that's expected. But other than that, and the flood work, like Kathy mentioned, just day by day. So nothing spectacular.
Just the routine,
Just the
flood of a
routine.
lifetime, and just
Yeah.
Were you all inundated over the weekend? Did you have a higher number over the past weekend or the 2 weekends ago?
Just phone calls and
Yeah,
stuff.
uh-huh.
Yeah, we did. We were busy, but actually it wasn't like the windstorm
Not
or
nearly
an
as
ice
bad.
storm.
Yeah.
It was a little more relaxed, just because the flood comes a little slower.
Yeah.
And for the most
More
part,
limited in a lot of the
well, a lot of the
areas
people that are
affected.
off know they're off. They
Right.
know the circumstances. So we were still busy.
Yeah.
But nothing like like the 2023 windstorm, for
Oh, yeah,
example,
right.
some situation like
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
yeah, not so
Darren
bad.
helped us a lot during the storm, close communication with EOC.
Right.
He was a positive director of that. And, whatever we needed, including to manage the boat, to take some employee out. We need them. They leave all the family there. Darren bring a boat to take them out to do the work for us. That's true, right? That's what that happened, I heard. Yes. So, done a lot of that for us.
I appreciated being on this side of it for a
Yeah.
change. It wasn't quite as bad.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next is customer service, April.
Good evening. You can find the customer service reports on page 91 to 95. Customer count didn't change a whole lot. I think we were up maybe 25 customers from last month. And the same with the wait times. We're on those non-peak days, we're under 2 minutes. And then on the peak days, we're up a little bit. But again, we've got a new employee that we're training, and so she's doing really well. And she'll probably start taking calls pretty soon. She's listening to calls, but she's really catching on and doing great. So we should see an improvement in some of that. The kiosk transactions, we're getting close to hitting 500. We've been staying between 400 and 500. We had 496 this time around. So just a reminder to customers that we do have that available in our drive-through 24/7, and it is monitored by our NOC, so it's safe for them to make cash payments and card payments in the evening at any time. In March, we did have 12 positive Google reviews, as Kathy mentioned. Since the end of March, we've had 45 positive because of the flood. And so we've moved from a 3.2 Google rating to a 3.3, so we're making progress. We need about 500 more to get to a 4.0. That's my goal, so keeping up with those numbers. But we do appreciate all the customers that we've heard from, giving us positive reviews, not just during the flood, but we get those quite often. A reminder to our current customers who are on budget that May is reconciliation month. So those customers will need to pay their bill down to 0. And then if you're a Cycle 1 customer, you can currently sign up for budget for your June bill. So they have until, I think it's May 9th. Yes, May 9th to sign up if your due date's on the 1st. And then Cycle 2 will start their signups on the portal on April 29th. Through May 26th. So it's
In April, you have to sign, just remind people, you have to sign up every year, correct?
well, if
Or
you're a
will you-
current
if you're a
customer,
current customer,
you don't. If
You
you're a
do
current
not,
customer,
okay.
you have to pay your bill to 0,
and if you
then
do, then you're automatically re-enrolled unless you say otherwise.
unless you tell us otherwise. Correct. And then another shameless plug with all of the flooding and everything that happened. Just a reminder to customers. I know we talked about it last month, and Mr. Schneider showed us how easy it was to change your preferences for your portal.
Yeah.
we communicated with customers through the portal about the issues with water at the water treatment plant. As soon as that information was given to us, Kathy and her team made sure that they got information out along with IT. So again, if emails, the app, you can get push notifications. But if email's not the way that you prefer to be contacted by us, please go into your portal and go into your settings, manage notifications, and let us know how you want to be contacted. Because right now you're getting emails, but you could also get text messages and phone calls as well. Super easy. But now's a great time to have that information. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy.
The kiosk transactions, do most of those take place outside of regular business hours, or do you have what time of day they take place, or is it?
So the one inside obviously takes
Right.
place, and it gets a lot of deposits.
Walk-in stuff, okay.
But the ones outside, we do see a lot of that after hours. I've looked at it, and there've been payments at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's why I say we do have someone here at the NOC that's watching the cameras. So it's definitely, and it's well lit down there, and so they're making sure that it's safe and that it's secure. No one's in that area.
Right.
So definitely use it at any time. But yeah, we do have a lot of shift workers. I feel like they come in and pay at night.
I have one question. Have we had any people start the testing the prepaid option?
So we are still working on some of the development, and we internally are testing some with the app, some of the information in the app. So we're not quite there on complete testing, but we're making progress. So. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next is telecommunication, Adam.
Good afternoon. The telecom report starts on page 97 with customer numbers. The next 2 pages are the outages for the month. We had 2 outages. One was a bad split in Silver Lake subdivision. The other one was damaged or a blown fuse on Jones Lane. Trouble calls actually down versus this time last year. Still, the number one is usually customer education, the number one factor there. Next band, we're wrapping up the construction of our overbuild. We got a section on Winton Road, Home Street area. We have crew splicing in Hanley Lane, Georgetown Road, Mills Lane, Dover Creek area out there. They're wrapping that up. And on the grant side, we have started construction in 3 of the grant areas. So that's moving. It's moving a little slower. We'll probably have more conversations as we get a little closer to that January deadline. We still need 191 easements, so that's kind of slowing us down quite a bit. Most of them are in area 2. So, but we're working to get them signed as much as we can. So we have some people just don't want to. They'll sign a letter of permission, but when it gets to messing with their deed, they don't want to do it. So we'll see. We'll just keep asking and keep knocking, and maybe we can get them to turn around. Charlie Bob, who's a retired employee that came back, he's done a real great job working with these, trying to get them to sign. So we'll just keep moving forward. As far as on the flood side of things, we still have about 80 customers whose homes were damaged or businesses that their services are off, and we'll just wait for them to call and to reconnect service as they rebuild. So that's about where we stand on that. So,
Any questions for? Thank you, sir, and thank you for everything you all did.
Next is electrical, Scott and Travis.
Good evening. The electric report will start on page 101 with our SADI report. SADI number for the month is 34.4. If you look at page 102, it's going to show your top 10 outages for the month, and the total customers affected for that month was 85. So that's about average of 5 customers per outage. Page 103, you'll see your pie chart, which shows the different types of percentages of outages. And then page 104 will show your actual count for each type of outage with a total of 15. Kind of update on the flood issue for us. We are down, let's see, we started off with 324 electric meters pulled. We are down still to 216. We have 216 left. So we've installed about 108 meters the last 3 or 4 days. So the number's kind of slow. It's not a whole lot coming in at one time. So people's got a lot of work to do on their side before they can get power. And
I know the city was looking for electricians to help with the inspections, to be able to give the okay to go on and reinstall the meters. Did they have much luck with that, or they?
well, I think I don't think, like I said, the need for that is really high right now. I think there's still a lot of people cleaning and people assessing, and there's not, my understanding, the inspector is he's staying caught up. It's not
Okay.
like he's over inundated with inspections. He's, like I said, there's not a lot, we've only been doing about 10 or 11 reconnects on an average of a day. So he's going out doing inspections, whatever he approves, and then the rest of it's not being approved. So it's, it's just gonna be a slower process than normal. It's, like I said, it's a historical flood. So instead of people normally dealing with about 1 foot of water, so many people were dealing like 4.5 foot of water. So a lot more damage, a lot more things to do before they can even request their electric or even want to think about electric. So,
Yeah.
so.
Any questions?
I have just a question of curiosity. Next month, when you present these numbers that include April, how do these long-term outages affect our numbers? Are they kind of factored out because they're a
Correct. They are
separate thing?
factored out the way the reliability takes care of the APPA. If you have a significant storm or an event like this that lasts more than 24 hours, then those outages aren't really included in the outage report.
Okay, all right.
So it's just kind of fair to all the companies across, because you can't
Yeah,
control
you
that.
can't
So
control that,
you
right.
can't control that.
Sure. Okay.
So.
Great.
Yeah.
I did not compare with last month, but it looks like there's more equipment damage as the cause. Is that correct, or I'm just remembering wrong? I always note the squirrel, and the squirrels are,
Yeah.
or we're not winning out this time.
See,
so-
that's kind of I don't want to say how it, so you got equipment damage, electrical failure. So equipment damage is, so if a squirrel does, or a bird or a tree, then of course we lose a fuse or a protection device like that. So it also goes into that category. So we have to, first, the outage is caused by a squirrel, but then we have to replace the fuse to get the lights back on. So that's considered your equipment damage part, so.
So you count it twice, or just?
No, it's just part of it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why that number's a little higher, because, so like if lightning comes through or wind comes through, all those kind of different things kind of play a factor in equipment damage part. Not everything. Those times we do have a transformer go bad, like a residential transformer, or we may have an insulator fail. Stuff like that also plays into electrical equipment. So it's just not technically what you consider, what people think of a fuse being a piece of equipment, but in this report it is equipment. So you think more bigger things like substations and poles and stuff. So
Was there, is this an unusual number?
no, I mean that's a little higher than normal, but I mean if you look at some of the electrical failures also, that's kind of going back to in the unknowns. When you go out there and there is a fuse down, you don't know because you can't find the evidence of a critter, or you can't find evidence of a tree limb. So that's a mark of an unknown, but there's still an equipment failure there because the fuse is blown. So you had to replace the fuse.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Thank you for everything you and your team did. Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
Good evening, everyone. The SEPA report for this month starts on page 105 of your board package. Our SEPA bill for this month, or normal bill, $82,285. Our net payment for SEPA was $278,973 for a profit to the plant board of $196,688, which brings us through calendar year through February. A net benefit of $438,386 for SEPA. So we're off to a good start this year, doing really well. There's a graph. You can kind of compare year over year. Last year, for whatever reason, probably mostly market conditions, we did not have a strong February. We did this year, so like I said, off to a good start. Hopefully that will continue. And for AMI, electric installs, 21,521. That puts us at 98%. So we are very close. And water, 14,633. That's 85% for them. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Trav?
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
For the QMEA, I really don't have any update. If you have any question, I will happy to answer that.
Any questions for?
The safety.
Good evening. The safety report begins on pages 109 and 110. We had no OSHA recordables or vehicle accidents for the month of March, so it's been a pretty good year so far. And I'd like to
All
say,
due to your leadership, right?
no, the departments are doing great, especially with the storm. I mean,
Yeah.
they handle situations that aren't unique. I mean, they are unique.
Yeah.
Right.
And everybody remains safe. I mean, we are gonna look at some solutions maybe moving forward. Maybe something that for a specific task will help us on other tasks. Maybe a tool we could get to help out. So,
I know that they aren't gonna be reported here, but did we have any accidents or injuries during the flood, or?
No. no,
That's pretty
no,
impressive.
it was excellent.
Good.
So,
Great.
I do want you to know everywhere I go, I saw him there.
yeah, so I had good help from my field safety assistant too. He was feeding me regulations while I was there on site to make sure we were
You
Doing
sure he
pretty
wasn't
good.
following you around to make sure you didn't get it?
No, he was there. Even I left, he was still there. And, particularly, we say the cross river when we have a North Carolina team. But, people really pay attention. I mean, they did a wonderful job. I mean, it's very dangerous, to be honest, on the river at that time. But our people really done a lot, including other contract, cut down the tree, clear everything, make them all ready to pull it. But he stay on the top every step, make sure extra safety. Actually, I want you to know I'm nervous too on all these things. When we have people on the boat try to doing the reconnection, disconnection, that's always make me nervous. And on the cross river also, that can be, if you stay nearby, you can say the big transmission line on the KU, they are just on the top. They are energized.
Right.
So that's why there's a very limited option we have. Originally, we think, why don't we hire a helicopter to do that? But once you go there, you say, so there's no way anything can be very safe to do that. I'm just saying, not only that, we have a primary also energize it. So have to be work very carefully. They want to go to have it done that, because everyone waiting. We have fire chief, all the capital, all the captain, the fire, and the North Carolina team, all there waiting. But same time, our folks have to make sure everything done correctly, because you don't want the people driving the boat in the middle of the river, then something stuck there. we also have to be ready to cut off that instantly if there anything happen, because you don't want to pull anyone into the water or pull down the line. They're very tedious, there are a lot of safety things we have to make sure. I mean, everyone done good job, not only the safety department, all the people involved also. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. But
you're good. Any questions?
No, thank
All right,
you.
that's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Next, water distribution. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. So starting on page 111 of your board packet, you'll see in March we put in 7 new water services. Luckily, we had no water main breaks, which also led to no outages. So that was very good for us in March. And if you also see in your board packet, that'll actually show, I think, 2 years in a row, we had no main breaks or outages in March. Don't really coincidental, I guess. I'd be willing to put a bet on it. Next March would probably be a little different, just because that's not really typical. But so anyway, out 421 project laid additional approximate 2,000 foot of pipe. That brings us up to around 9,000 foot laid. April 1st, we did start the hydrant flushing that we've discussed. First 2 weeks, with all the rain and everything else going on, we still flushed approximately 200 hydrants. Had about 1,800 total to do. And then, as Travis hit on, we're about 85% with AMI. Did an additional about 29 meter change outs in March. So that's where we are right now. Any other questions? I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah.
Does the flood affect hydrants?
So it's funny, I received a similar phone call, and I was actually in Alabama, so I missed out on all the craziness here in Frankfurt. But I was seeing a lot on social media. My wife was showing me her Facebook and showing me all the stuff going on. But anyway, back to the hydrant. So pretty much everything, unless something was to get damaged or something, then we have an issue. We got to turn a hydrant off because something's got damaged, got hit by something or anything like that. But as far as just a hydrant in general, everything's inside the pipe. So with the water being treated, coming from the plant, coming out, everything's inside that pipe. So it's not really going to affect the hydrant, like saying unless something hit it, a vehicle hit it, something of that nature. So it really doesn't affect anything. If they get submerged with water, they're just going to be submerged with water a little bit, and then once the water goes down, the hydrant's still going to be there, unless it got hit. Then you would know, because water would be blowing and all that stuff. You'd have to go through, isolate it, turn the valve off, and all that. So,
Okay, thank you.
anybody else? We good? All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
This is a water treatment plant, Brandon.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of March, the water treatment plant treated 243,357,000 gallons of water for an average of 7.85 million gallons per day. Lock 4 averaged 11,621 cubic feet per second for an average of 7.5 billion gallons a day, and there were 5 inches of rainfall recorded for the month. And we are about roughly 25% done with our filter valve project. We should be doing startup on the next filter probably the end of next week, so it's going really well. If there's any questions.
No, but this reminded me, I did want to give a shout out to the community about conserving water. That I don't know if the community understood how much that helped. And so I just wanted to thank everyone who was so cooperative about that.
It helped. We were not really concerned, but it was an issue, so worked out well. So.
It was getting close towards the end.
It was a little closer than me like, but we made it work. I mean, really, arts. I mean, they absolutely killed it. So they were a big part of that. So
when y'all spent a fair amount of time in the water too.
What's that?
You all spent a fair amount of time in the water too, so.
Yes, there was a couple of us.
Yeah.
I really didn't do a whole lot. I was a gopher, but there were a couple of us, or a couple of them that really got in there and were, pitching in where they had to. So.
Yeah.
And it made for some funny Facebook comments of people after the notice saying you can use your water as normal, and somebody said, "That's great. Now I'm going to need all y'all to go take a shower."
Well, and you all not only did you keep our regular customers on, you kept our wholesale water districts up. Right. And there was a lot of information out there, and everybody did a great job, Kathy and the social media, because there was a period of time when there was a lot of rumors that we were going to be down for 2 weeks, and that we were running out, that the water wasn't safe to drink. I mean, it was just.
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
And, you and Kathy and the whole staff did a great job of keeping people informed that the water was safe. If everybody just conserved, we'd be okay. And I think when we came back up on Monday, I think people were just shocked because they've been hearing so much that.
Yeah. We really tried we had the operator stay late just to fill everything. We knew we were going to do something, so, they just stay late and got everything as full as they could, and really just kind of, it worked out. That's about all I can say, so.
Well, it was a heck of an effort. It really was.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, action items. Item 6.1, consider approval of agreement of Groves Construction and Sharco Electric for storm response. Scott, this is a timely topic, isn't it?
Yes, it was. So, actually, I got all this stuff back from Groves and Sharko just before they started talking about all the severe weather the Wednesday before the rain. So it was really good to have out different. Anyway, this is kind of something y'all see every year. It's just there's no money to be spent with this agreement. It's just a agreement such as if we did have a storm, we could not get help from mutual aid through our other municipals in the state of Kentucky, that if we reached out to contractors, we already have our set pay scale, so if it was a FEMA event, then FEMA's good with what we do. So that's all this is doing, is this giving us the paperwork for anything needed, so if we had to ever go that avenue, so.
Anybody have any questions? No, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contract's approved. Thank you, sir. Item 6.2, consider award of bid number 1820 underground construction to AE Electrical Solutions. Adam.
Yes, sir. We sent a bid out for underground, and basically this is to finish up our next band overbuild, some areas that we have conduit we can't use in some of the grant areas. We sent it out to, publicized it in the paper, sent it to 8 vendors, had 2 responses. Arts Electric was the lowest response. We've done work with them before. They've typically do a pretty good job for us, so staff would recommend that we award them the contract for the underground.
And this is budgeted as
Yeah,
part
this
of-
is a part of the next band overbuild, so it'd all be covered in that and the grants as well.
Okay.
But just to put it in perspective, about 18 months ago, we paid, it was 56% less. So that's how much costs have gone up.
Wow.
I don't know if y'all remember, but we were talking about how we were pushing to get underground done because we had such a good price.
Right.
And it shows this time around, so. But be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Ben? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contract's approved. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Item 6.3, consider approving memorandum of agreement to assist Farmdale Water District with meter and smart point installation. Sharmista?
Good evening. This is a sub-agreement to our overall general assistant agreement with Farmdale Water District. Basically just spells out just the scope of work and general conditions as far as when we assist them with installing their meters and their smart points, just vault preparation activities and so forth. And just want to provide this for board review and recommend approving this memorandum of agreement with Farmdale.
And I think what all we're doing here, and that we've talked about before, so this is just, you're bringing it, so make sure the board and the community knows what we're doing in this area.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Sharmista? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contract's approved. Great explanation, Sharmista.
I know, it's short and sweet. So.
Next one, consider approving an agreement to perform tank cleaning service at Han Tank.
Wet or dry, I think.
Yeah, wet and
Yeah.
dry, it's the extra piece. We had the 2 bids, wet and dry and chrome,
Yes.
and they're
Barely
still
nosing-
unbelievable.
Just barely nosing out their competitors.
Yeah,
So just to give a little background, so we do routine tank inspections and cleaning every 5 years. We did our steel tanks roughly 4-ish years ago, so we'll be doing our steel tanks next year, but our concrete tanks are due for cleaning. So this one is our Han tank. It's a 3 million gallon ground storage tank, and it's due for its inspection. And so we reached out for quotes and wet or dry tank inspection. Their quote to perform a report, inspection, well, they'll do their inspection, provide a report, which will include any repair recommendations as well, including an exterior tank cleaning as well. So their quote came in at $12,000. Crom was about $84,103. Based on comments, I did follow up.
Read the instruction. I mean,
Was it to paint as well? That's all I could figure out.
It's basically pressure washing and walking the tank and inspecting it very closely and providing a report and photos. So, I followed up with wet or dry. Am I missing something here? There's a big discrepancy between the quotes. And, they're local. They're out of Campbellsville, Kentucky, and they do this all the time. They've helped us with our steel tanks as well. Like, they provided the specifications when we painted our steel tanks. there's really, they're going to do the same thing. Both companies were going to provide the same service. So unfortunately, it's a local company, so that, Kentucky, so it's worked out. So, and this was a budgeted item. We had actually budgeted this as a capital improvement because we had originally planned on doing a clear coat kind of seal, but after further discussion, they say it's really just better not to seal concrete. It's just better just do a pressure wash. So we went ahead, we're gonna do that this fiscal year, and then we're gonna do our Sullivan tank, our big martini-shaped one over off Versailles Road. That one will actually be, we'll just plan on that next fiscal year. We're preparing the bid invitation.
Can we lock
for-
in wet and dry while they're on a roll?
Well, they don't, they're gonna try to do the exterior cleaning. They won't be able to do the interior cleaning because we'll leave water in it, have a diver come in, so it'll be probably a mix of contractors for the other tank. But yeah, I think they will submit pricing for the exterior cleaning, yes. And so this was a budget item. We recommend approval of the agreement with wet or dry tank inspection.
Any further discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contract's approved.
Also, and just to add, I also want to thank Brandon and how he managed the project at the water treatment plant during the flood. And Bruce's crews were on top of it. Every time I got a call, there was a main break, I was calling distribution crews saying, "Get out there and fix it right now." So everybody was great. So thank you. Thanks.
Item 6.5, consider approving RFD TV renewal. Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff recommends approving the RFD TV renewal. This is an NCTC agreement with a term through March 31st of 2028. We currently carry RFD on our optional preferred cable tier. It maintains our current rate through 2025, and future increases are tied to CPI. No additional carriage requirements or obligations are included in this agreement. The rate is below what we had budgeted.
Any questions?
Happy to answer any questions, yeah.
So I'll move that we approve the RFD TV renewal.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contract's approved. Now, item 6.6, consider approval public hearing notice covering increasing rate for cable network pass-through fee, increasing rate for bulk cable 1 and bulk cable 2, defining new next band internet packages and rates, and new add-on services, establishing next band stream light package and fee, and updating section 8 of the tariff. And this one's kind of a mixed bag. Part of it is, unfortunately, we face this all the time. This is not FPB raising our rates. This is the programming we have to purchase, passing that through. But then on the other side, you all have done some work that if customers want, there's some options that might actually save them some money.
Yep. So I guess I'll start with the not fun stuff and move on to the more exciting things. And first, as a reminder, we're asking for approval of a public notice for the purpose of conducting a public hearing at the next meeting. The first item is the cable network pass-through fee. As a reminder, and I don't know if David can show the chart that we update every year. This is a direct pass-through of our programming costs. For the channels on FPB cable. The agreements that we sign every year often specify an annual increase, and unfortunately we must pass these on to our customers. This year's increase is $3.40, which works out to about 5%. As you can see on the graph, the orange line, the hockey stick, is the pass-through fees. Those are the dollars that go, leave Frankfurt, go to Los Angeles and New York to pay for the networks on cable. And the green line on the bottom is the amount that FPB uses to run the system. And that number is actually, lower today than it was 20 years ago. So that's the first item. We'll also have that presented in a different chart, which shows the percentage of the bill that, again, that leaves town versus stays in town. And then finally, just an overview of the changes to the rates from today to the proposed changes in 2025. And I think you have all this information. Ms. Poe passed that out. And again, if you want to stop me at any point during this, we can talk about it, or we can do it at the end, however you guys want to handle it. The second item is the bulk rates, bulk cable 1 and 2. Those rates track with with our classic cable fees. So as we increase those, we increase the bulk rates at the same rate. The third item on the public hearing is new next band residential internet packages. And so we're proposing to establish 4 new residential next band packages and rates. Some of these packages are also going to contain some additional value-added services, such as Nextband Stream Local Plus, which is going to be a free video package including cable 10, so you can watch around 10, and other content that we can produce here locally, as well as some free internet streaming channels. Experience IQ, outdoor Wi-Fi, and Bark parental controls. Those are some of the additional features. Just trying to bring more value to the internet services that we sell to our customers. These packages would be effective July 1st, and they would be the packages available to new end customers upgrading their services. Existing folks can continue to maintain their existing packages if they want, but I think a lot of folks are going to see value in these new packages and will want to switch. In addition to these new packages, we're also going to sell a couple of these new services as a la carte services, the Bark parental controls and the outdoor Wi-Fi service. So we're establishing rates for those 2 things. The fourth item on the public hearing is a new internet delivered video package. So as we discussed a few minutes ago, cable TV costs continue to rise across the country. And they're really driven by 2 things, live sports and local broadcast channel fees. And that has unfortunately resulted in a case where folks are being priced out of cable service altogether. Last year, we established a retention tier, which does include some popular cable content, but leaves out the sports. But it does also include the broadcast channels, which keeps the price pretty high. Today, we're proposing a new option for our customers. We worked with the NCTC and have developed a TV package that's going to be delivered over the internet. And at this point, we're calling it Nextband Stream Lite. I reserve the right to maybe change that name in the future, but that's where we are today. So what we're doing is we're taking the rights that we have in agreements today and that the NCTC has negotiated to allow us to deliver these channels over the internet, and it allows us to create a package that excludes the sports networks and the local broadcast channels. There's 50 channels on the package as it's proposed today. That's in your board package. That lineup may change over time as rights and partnerships change, but that's how it is today. We'll need to, some of those agreements or some of those channels are not channels that we carry today, so we'll need to execute agreements to carry those. We won't be required to carry them on the legacy. The really important thing to remember is that this is really a wholly separate offering than our traditional cable package. It is not a cable tier. It is an internet delivered video service, and that is why we're able to have flexibility in the carriage. It is really it's separate from our traditional cable service. We think it's just going to be a flexible option for those folks that are looking for TV content at an accessible price point. So we're proposing $20 a month for the rate on this new package. And then finally, the last item on the public hearing is an update to our tariff. Section 8 covers cable 10, and the tariff only really addresses cable 10, which is obviously our community TV channel. We've had some initial conversations with local organizations and had some ideas about ways to create, we have the flexibility with this streaming platform to have more channels that we create. And so we want to change the language in the tariff so that the terms in that section apply to any of these local channels that we might create and not have it just be tied to cable 10. So really just an administrative change. We're not really changing any of the terms, just sort of broadening the definition of FPB local origination channels. So that is a lot of things, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have on any of those items.
And the proposal that's in front of us tonight is to schedule a public hearing, I'm assuming, Hans, what, at the May? That would be the public hearing?
Yeah, next month.
At the next regular monthly meeting?
Yeah.
So that'd be the public hearing for the public to comment, come in, ask questions, whatever, about any of these proposals. And then we'd be, after that public hearing, then it'd be in front of the board at the June meeting for approval or disapproval or change or whatever.
Take effect July 1st.
Right.
Okay.
So the whole goal on this, I guess, like you said, Harvey, we've got the fees, and just like the charts you gave us here, I mean, at one point back in, 2008, our cost per month on a bill per customer was $17.76. We're now down to $12.79. We're $5 a month cheaper per customer than we were in 2008.
Yep,
But-
and that was, I think the year 2020, I think is when we separated the line items on the bill
Right.
to be super clear about how it breaks out, and so we've just maintained that $12.79 since then.
But cable charges have gone from that same period, about $30 a month, $29, up to $116 a month.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's
to
basically
me,
money we're paying for
well,
programming.
really, it started. The orange line is the programming
Right.
cost, so that was at $11.45, and now it's going to be over $100.
Right.
So we've added a few channels since then, but it's mostly all the same ones.
I've got a request, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Harvey, I want to make a point. I was wondering if I can get you to reproduce this for the public hearing and separate out the retransmission costs and how they've gone up.
Sure. Yeah, we have a similar chart that we use
in-
for retrans.
In what I consider an exponential and unwarranted manner. But that's the end of my editorial comments for this meeting. We'll
Yeah,
have more
we can
next
we can
meeting.
certainly add another color line on there to show the retrans fees.
And for the public to make sure that's what we have to pay local channels in Louisville and Lexington to put their signal on our network.
What
Yeah.
can be pulled for free from the air.
Right, but because of federal law, they have the right to charge for that, and we have to pay for that service to put them on.
Yeah, and for the right to retransmit their
Right.
channels. Right. Yep. So basically, your classic cable bill has three pieces to it: retransmission surcharge, which you mentioned is the broadcast channels; the cable network pass-through fee, which is what we're asking for a public hearing about; and then the customer charge, which is the plant board's part, the $12.79.
So what we'd be offering customers on the various options, and like I said, this would be for discussion in May, would be if customers want to take this package without the rebroadcast, then they could do that on their TV and they could get the broadcast whether they want Louisville or Lexington in whatever manner they want it.
Right, and so what we're proposing on this new internet video package is it doesn't mirror exactly the classic cable package,
Right.
and again, it doesn't have, some larger programmers. ESPN's not in there. There's really no sports. It's Hallmark, it's A&E, it's Discovery, those types of channels. So it's folks that, and I've talked to a lot of these people over the years who say, oh, I don't watch sports, or, and I don't want to pay for it. This will be an option for those people, to save the money on the retrans and save the money on the sports rights. So
I don't see MeTV in here, so I don't think you're gonna want it.
Oh, what I'll do, I'll just sit there at home, and watch the blank screen. Keep flipping. I guess the motion will be to take this proposal and conduct the public hearing in May. Is that correct, Hans?
And we're okay on that schedule that was outlined of ultimately approving the rate increase in June?
yeah, I think you're good with that.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for our next regularly scheduled meeting.
And you'll be.
I'll be here. I'll be here, unlike last time.
Steve did admirable,
Steve,
but he's
yeah.
no,
I'm gonna say they can call a special session.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor of the public hearing in May, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Harvey, we'll see you in May.
Thank you very much.
There'll be thousands of people here. Okay, number 7, we've got 5 items here. We've got 2 additional. First is just a quick update on the city 911. we had a meeting, I guess earlier this week, or no, last Friday, I guess? Yeah, and Gary and I, were in it, April was in it, David Denton, and we met with the assistant city manager. It was a very good meeting, and what I'm saying now is nothing, new, I mean, nothing that the city hadn't talked about publicly. They're looking at implementing, a fee on 911, and they're still having their discussions with the county. They're also potentially, they have not decided yet, implementing a fee on garbage, but they have not decided. In fact, there has been no ordinance drafted, so they're still in their process. But one of the things they'd like us to consider is adding these fees to our bill. And it comes down to, we're currently charging, I think, David, which they were shocked, we're charging 0.84 of 1% to handle their billing form. If they go out to have it billed by someone else, some type of contract firm, it will cost them 15% of revenue. So the bottom line is, whatever revenue they bring in, and they've made a presentation, their goal is to, these funds would basically fill a budget hole that they've got, that they've talked about and options they're looking at. So 15% what they collected would be gone, and that would mean these fees wouldn't even be enough to cover that hole. So, I mean, it makes sense that we handle the billing for them, the collections, and we have for years already on sewer. There's various options there. I think what I'd like to ask the board to do is, we don't have to take any action tonight. There's nothing in front of us to act on. But David, April, and Hans and Gary would continue to meet with the city over the next month or so. There's a lot of questions we have, just procedural, different ways to handle it. They're looking at doing it on water. So there's a lot of issues that have to be dealt with in terms of meters and multifamily residences, industrials, and so forth. And then work up a draft proposal, bring it back for us to look at, the city needs to look at, and then at some point in the upcoming months, if we're willing to go down that path and they want to go down that path, then we have something to act on. But right now, it's informational. They asked for the meeting. Like I said, it was a very good meeting. We had a lot of information. There's a lot more to talk about, and that's kind of what's on the table. So everybody knows what's going on, but we don't have anything in front of us tonight other than the city has talked about it, and we asked them, and they said we were perfectly fine to talk about this tonight, let everybody know what's going on. But clearly, they want our help to help with the billing and the collection. And then, that would be remitted to them, similar to what we're doing on sewer right now. So, David, can you think of anything else we need to add, or?
No,
I think
sir.
that was pretty much the gist of it.
Yes, sir. There's the details to be worked out at a later date.
Yeah. And,
Well, I appreciate everybody's time working on it, because, I mean, we want to continue to help the city this way. It makes sense.
And Steve was in the meeting.
I was gonna add
Yeah,
Steve,
yes, Steve was there.
But we also want it transparent for our customers, and we want it fair to them, because there's logistics to work out. If they're behind in a bill,
Yeah, it was.
part of it is actually, for
What they owe the city, right?
city. So we don't want it to unnecessarily impact someone's access to utilities. So I think there's a lot of logistics that you all are working out.
Is that something that's been discussed? I mean, I know now we kind of have that with the sewer issue, but if someone does run into arrears in their bill and make stuff up, and, at what point, how is that stuff divvied out, and how would that be handled if we were to collect these two other charges?
So the way that your current bill is structured, when you look at it, the services, electric, water, telecom, then the city services, the payments are applied in that order. But if you have a past due balance, if you are calling in, or dropping by to make a payment on past due balance, that past due is paid first before any new charges are covered. So you're never getting too far behind. And of course, we have very good collection.
And anything we collect for the city is included in what that past due balance is, correct?
Yes, sir, it is. Now, their balance shows as a liability on our balance sheet. It's never hits the income statement, so we only remit what we collect. If there's no collections, a bad debt is just put against that liability. So, yeah, it's all a balance sheet is where it's contained.
And the city is April still here?
Yes.
I mean, they're very appreciative of April and her team, because they realize that our staff is kind of the front end of all this. That when people see these charges and they're upset, then they call us, because they're getting it on our bill. And April and her team has to explain to these customers what's going on, what it's about, and, you know, how it was calculated. And they're very appreciative of that, because, I mean, that's something that they recognize is a huge value to them. And like I said, and you know, there's no question about it, 911 is you know, very important to this community. And it's just the kind of thing that it's just expensive to operate. And they're looking for ways to pay that cost.
Well, circumstances changed on them. I mean, they
Yeah.
used to have a way to finance it that doesn't exist
Right.
anymore, so.
Because of land, yeah.
I do have one question, the percentage that we do collect, right now, that covers our expenses for collection?
No, sir. Right now, this was a rate that the city currently pays us just over $95,000 a year for our collection services. That was a rate established since 1998, has not changed. In the meeting, there was discussion about that and some willingness to talk about it. We had a
There will need to be.
yes, sir, a 2014 cost of service study said it's about $500,000 in 2014 to do the service. So that would put it about 4.5% of collections today. So it sounds like that they're up for discussion on
Yeah,
that.
they were very open to saying they realize the value this is to them. And if they had to
Yeah,
staff it or contract it
that
out.
seemed like an incredibly low number to me,
Yes.
so, okay.
Yeah. In fact, they thought it was what, about 3.5?
Yes,
And David said, no, it's 0.84 of 1%. And they were like, oh.
But it's
So-
not locked in as a percentage, it's locked in as a fixed amount, correct?
Yes, sir. And that's why it's separated over
Right.
the last 30, 40 years.
And that's one of the things David, April, and Gary and Hans will be looking at is
Okay.
what is our cost?
Good,
You know, there's programming costs, collections, and so forth. So.
Right.
yeah, excellent.
Next one, really no update on the charging station. David and Travis had prepared some information on the charging stations, the options, usage, and so forth. And I think everybody saw that report. And I don't know what could have happened, what the city was involved in the last couple of weeks. But it really wasn't, there just wasn't a good opportunity to have that discussion. So hopefully we can talk about it in May. But other things superseded having a charging station discussion during this past 30 days. So we'll follow up on that. Tanglewood, we're going to talk about the usage over the last several months. And who's giving that update? Yes.
We have some study already done. I don't know,
Kathy Lindsay on the clubhouse.
Uh-huh.
I do have a quick question about
Yeah.
the clubhouse while we're finding our speaker. We've gotten some calls. I know Kathy Jennings has gotten some calls from some state agencies, and they'll say, we want to rent, but your agreement, we can't pay you in advance, and we can't indemnify you. I know you all are familiar with, that stems from the state constitution. That's not them trying to.
That's a heck of a document.
Pesky thing out there.
Yeah, it is. It gets in the way of a lot of, yeah.
So what I'd like to ask for is just a motion to permit staff to waive or adjust or modify those provisions prohibited by the state constitution solely for state agencies, such as the payment in advance and the indemnification, so those folks can rent and we don't miss out on those sales.
Do we want to do it for any units of government, if the county wanted, if the city or county wanted to use it, or?
Yes,
something,
could do that. I think maybe broadly, anyone that those constitutional provisions would affect, which are cities, counties, like you
Right.
point out.
Okay.
And that way we can
Yeah,
go
that
back.
emoluments clause is a real problem. You know?
That's
Yeah.
another one too
Yeah,
that's
it
out
is,
there.
yeah.
You can't make gifts of public money. I don't know
Or
what's
paid
wrong
for
with that.
services not yet rendered, yeah.
That's it too. That's the advance. That's exactly
Yeah.
why they can't pay the deposit. The deposit fee qualifies for that.
Yeah.
So just
So is
ask
that,
for.
can we make that motion now? Can
Yeah.
we, okay.
Yes, sir. It's regular meeting, so you all can do.
So the motion would be to allow rental of the Tanglewood facility,
Allow staff to waive certain parts of the contract
Correct. That
when
they-
renting
Yeah.
when renting to state governments or any governments that are restricted in paying deposits or offering indemnification.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'll save that to give to Hans later?
I've got it
You've got it locked in the vault?
locked in the vault.
On
It's
that-
essentially what Ann said. so.
On that beautiful motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved?
Thanks so much.
You'll want to frame that one. That's,
I'll put that on the wall. Yes, indeed. Thank you all.
Miss I'm sorry to interrupt. Miss Lindsay had to step away
Uh-huh.
for a thing. Were y'all interested in the rental
The rentals,
information?
Yes.
Okay. So we had, there were 6 rentals in the first quarter of the year, and then we had 2 more, in April, just through the first week of April. That was the update I had. And are you passing that out, Miss? Oh,
This is
yep.
the next.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So then we'll be happy to send that around to the board too, so they have
Okay.
that information.
Okay.
So,
Next is
sorry.
new item 7.4, green tariffs. Travis?
Good evening again, and apologies for the late notice on this one. This one just kind of was driven mostly by a recent customer request, so we decided to try and get it on the agenda today. You may recall a few years ago, we adopted a green tariff, which allows customers to purchase renewable energy certificates through FPB. The original tariff language had 2 tiers, $5 for residential block and $13 for commercial block. We started that 2-tier structure basically because we were looking at other utility programs. That was the way they had structured theirs. So kind of made sense as a first pass at it to establish that rate. We're asking the board tonight to consider having a public hearing to revise the tariff language to eliminate the $13 commercial tier and move everything to one flat $5 per block rate. There won't be any negative financial consequences to us. We're able, as of the past few months, actually, we're able to buy these rate blocks directly through KYMEA for $5. So it'll be a pass-through fee for those customers that are interested. So
what's in front of us tonight is this proposed policy at our May meeting to have a public hearing on this tariff.
Correct.
And then follow that schedule we talked about earlier on the cable. Public comment, then it would be back in front of us in June.
Exactly, yeah. If that works for the board, we'll just piggyback on the cable public hearing.
So all the motion is right now is to schedule this for public hearing in May.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So, do we have a motion? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Adopted.
Thank you.
You got a big
Yeah,
May,
I'm gonna
buddy.
get my voice in.
Yeah.
You got one more.
Yep, the next item is 7.5, prescription drugs. Ms. Brown, how you doing?
Good evening, Board Chair and members of the board. On May 1st, our Vintegra MedBand RX vendor will have access to preferred pricing for the biosimilar for our anti-inflammatory medication Stelara. One fill of Stelara, which is used to treat a variety of conditions from Crohn's disease to psoriatic arthritis, can cost between $15,000 and $29,000 depending on the dose. MedBand clients will have access to the biosimilar offered by a pharmaceutical company for around $900 to $1,700 per fill.
So the cost would go from $15 to $29 to $900, $1,700?
Yes, but
Oh, that's terrible, we don't want to do that, do we?
but currently, and I was going to explain later, that drug is currently excluded from our plan because of the pricing, because it's considered a specialty drug. So if approved, this will allow the biosimilar medication to be accessible to members that wouldn't otherwise have that option.
So employees who have needed this drug prior to this, they were paying this, or just not getting it?
They had to go to through that denial.
Oh, that's
right,
yes.
the
Denial
RX
procedure that we set up
helper.
last time.
Yeah.
Yes.
To help them out
Right.
where we could. So, Nichelle, if we allow the biosimilar, essentially put it on our schedule, the underlying drug is still excluded, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't.
Catherine?
Well, would there be any reason why a doctor would say, no, I still want you on the Stelara, and they could still go through that other process?
Yes, they'll still be eligible to do the RX because again, it's excluded from our plan, and that's one of the things when they go to receive any type of assistance, they want to make sure that your plan has excluded and that no one else or your employer wouldn't be responsible for the cost. So yes, they'll still be eligible to go through that process.
If the doctor said you've got to have the brand name.
Yes.
Right. And is a biosimilar, is that the same thing as a generic, or is it, it's not exactly the same drug, it's just similar to it, correct?
Right, it's more of a biological makeup.
Right.
That's been altered, but still similar to the actual.
But it's not, but it's not a generic version of the same
Correct.
drug, so that's the difference in,
Yeah.
because it's not, okay, good.
In that other, in the current option,
The RX.
yes. I mean, I'm not familiar with technically how it works. Would there be anything in that process that would require, essentially, like the doctor to have said, yes, I'm specifically saying my patient, whatever the other one, the biosimilar, is not appropriate for my patient? Like, to basically rule that out as opposed to just going through that other process, even though maybe their doctor would be fine with this other.
So are you asking, in order to go through RX Helper, does the doctor need to specifically say, although the plan has a biosimilar, they can't use this, they can?
Yes.
Nah, to be honest, I don't know. I think it would be more, the doctor would need to say, because it is a whole process. And so the doctor could recommend saying, my patient needs to take the Stelara.
brand
I don't know that the biosimilar even
Come up in the.
right in the discussion.
Okay.
So what's the board's pleasure on adopting this? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good work on this. Thanks for bringing it. Okay. Item 8, closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request permission to call a closed session pursuant to KRS 61-810-1C to discuss pending or proposed litigation regarding a contract matter, insurance matter, administrative agency matter, a declaratory judgment regarding property, and an MDL matter. Also under KRS 61-810-1B for deliberations on the future acquisitions of a specific piece of real property, since publicly discussing it would likely affect its value, and also under KRS 61-810-1N to select a successful bidder for the award of a local contract.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor of going into closed session for the reasons stated, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're in closed session. We'll reconvene in about 5 minutes.
Are we?
motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second to come out of closed session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're back in open session. Mr. Snyder.
Mr. Chairman, in one of the things we discussed in closed session, the only item we're gonna have to take, any kind of action on, our self-funded healthcare plan is in the Cigna network, and there is currently a contractual kind of brinksmanship going on between UK Healthcare and Cigna. Their contract expires April 30th of this year. And we fully expect that that's gonna end up being resolved in one way or the other. But I would like to make a motion that in case that is not done, not resolved by April 30th and May 1st, they no longer have an agreement. I want to make a motion that we make a contingency to allow our employees to continue to obtain services from UK Healthcare, and MedBen, who's our third-party administrator, would process those claims at an in-network benefit level, even though UK Healthcare would be an out-of-network provider.
I think we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's adopted. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.